all of that, she's facing 60 years behind bars for a crime she says she didn't commit while enjoying a dream trip to Cancun. Beautician Kim Hall agreed to bring 2 suitcases home for a pair of British men she befriended on a previous holiday.
But after being told the bags only contained cash, Kim was horrified when Homeland Security officials in Chicago discovered millions of pounds worth of cocaine inside.
As she's placed on house arrest while awaiting her trial, Kim is joining us from Chicago alongside her dad, John, who is with us in the studio.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. So, Kim, first of all, let's start with you. This all started in Portugal, is that correct?
Yes. Well, I met the guys in Portugal and then I returned home to the UK, and then a couple of weeks after went out to Mexico.
So you didn't know these guys before? So you'd met... these were strangers that you met in Portugal?
Yes.
Right.
OK, so what did they say to you? How did this all come about?
They just asked me if I would take a trip to Mexico. It was basically a free holiday, and I agreed. I just had a lot going on at home at the time, and I just needed a bit of breathing space. So it was, it was a breath of fresh air, really, to go there.
So you returned from Portugal, you got back home, and then they said, right, OK, did they pay for your flight to fly you then to Mexico as well?
Yes.
Right. So then they flew you to Mexico, and did you meet them in Mexico then?
Yes, I did.
And then...
for a short period of time, I spent the holiday alone, really, for the whole week. I'd just met them briefly at the beginning. And then I spent a lot of time on my own. And
what had they said to you? So, I mean, you must have thought, why am I going to Mexico and what do they want? So what had they told you?
Yeah. So basically, they just said that, one of them had lost their passport and they were in trouble. They needed to get some money home to the family. And it just seemed really, legit and straightforward. It was that I was going to go have a holiday, take a break, and just do them a favour by bringing back this money to give to a member of their family.
And did they tell you how much the money was?
Yeah, so it was going to be 250,000.
So were you not slightly suspicious? Because that's obviously an awful lot of money.
Yeah, it is. But at that time, I wasn't thinking along them lines. I was thinking it's just money. I certainly wasn't thinking anything about it was committing a crime. I literally thought, the worst that could happen was they would ask me questions at the airport about the money and it could be possibly seized. And obviously I raised these concerns and they were just like, you've got nothing to worry about, it can be justified and, you can't get into trouble for carrying it. And they certainly didn't come across as being criminals, so I just wasn't thinking like that.
And then how did they give that money to you to carry?
So it was in 2 suitcases, but at the end of my trip, basically what they'd said was, you give us your suitcase, we'll send that back to the UK for you, because you've got 2 suitcases to carry. And initially I just thought it would be in 1 for some reason, but it was in 2.
And were you flying, was the plan that you were flying back to the UK or back to Portugal or America?
No, it was to the UK. I went actually to catch my flight the first time, and they'd give me the wrong timings. So I went at 10 p.m. and it was actually 10 a.m. in the morning. So I missed that flight. And then the second one, the next day I went, and it was that they asked me if I had my ESTA visa, which I didn't even know what one was. So that meant I missed the second flight. And then it was the third one, which the route was from Cancun, a connecting flight at O'Hare, Chicago, onto London, onto Manchester.
And then at this point, did these two men start getting irate? Did they start getting more violent or more pushy?
So it was because they'd been really nice the whole way through, the whole week. And it was once I'd missed the second flight, they sort of thought I was avoiding taking it. But that actually wasn't the case. It just happened, the missing the both flights. So when they thought that I was avoiding it, that's when things changed dramatically. I went from staying, in a nice hotel, just enjoying the sun, having a nice holiday, to being taken to sort of like a converted warehouse in the middle of Cancun, which was surrounded by nothing.
OK. So you get to Chicago and then Customs and Immigration stops you and they open the suitcase. Had you not looked in the suitcase at all before then?
No, not at all, because the way I was thinking was, these cases are full of money. I don't want to look in it. It's not my money. And I think, once things had turned quite nasty with these guys, I was thinking, I'm not looking in them cases. There's no way, because, if any money went missing or anything, I just didn't want to make the situation worse. So I just thought, I'm not looking. And then what happened was, on a connecting flight, usually you would just check on your luggage and you'd see it at your final destination. But when I arrived at O'Hare, it was the DNC weekend, so they had extra security measures. So they were making everybody get the luggage off and then recheck it in. Which I was just more concerned about catching this connecting flight. I was like, needed to be home. I should have been home like 3 days prior to this. So I just took my cases off and was like rushing through the airport, and that's when it happened.
And when they stopped you, what did they say? And did they open the bags in front of you? And what was your reaction?
Yeah, they opened them in front of me. So basically, when they went through the scanner, the guy said to me, he pulled the case next to him, opened it, and then I was just stood there and I thought, like in your head, you just have like a vision. It's just going to be like stacks of money. And when he opened it, and I just looked and I thought, what's that? And at the same time, he said to me, what are you trying to bring in? And I just went, I don't know, because I was just confused. And then the only way I can describe it, it was like a paper mache, and he had gloves on, and his gloves were covered in oil. And he said to me, what's this? And I was thinking, I don't know. And it wasn't until, maybe it's half an hour later when they're getting everything out of the case. And these, there was like vacuum packed packages, and it was just in all different sizes and shapes, really.
John, let's bring you in. I mean, this is just every parent's worst nightmare, that this sort of thing could happen to someone. What do you want to come from this interview?
Well, what I want from the interview really is some help from the British government, because we seem to be fighting this on our own. Kimberly's needed medical assistance and everything. We've had no help whatsoever from the British government.
The Foreign Office, I suppose.
The Foreign Office, the Embassy. We just keep getting told that they pass a link to us, which is help for British people abroad. And we've tried the links, some of them don't exist anymore, and some of them want paying, and we're like, we've got the paperwork to prove that Kimberly shouldn't be in the country. She was denied entry to the US. A passport's been stamped to say that she shouldn't be in the country. The paperwork states she should be sent home that day. When we told the Foreign Office and the Embassy about this, they just said, and these were the actual words, well, there must have been some type of mistake, because that's not normal. And I was like, well, maybe there was a mistake, but that's what it says, and she shouldn't be there. We need her home. So that's why I'm here today, and Kimberly.
So where is she at the moment? Kimberly, who are you? You're in a safe house at the moment. Who are you there with? You're under house arrest.
Yeah, so I'm on house arrest, and I'm somewhere that provides me with support with my mental health. So it's sort of like they offer recovery programs and just people who need that extra bit of support, really.
So are you going to stay there essentially until the trial happens? Is this what you want to happen? Do you want her to be flown home?
Well, I would obviously prefer Kimberly to be where she is. The staff are absolutely amazing in this place where she is. They go above and beyond to help her.
Right.
Because she's got this alien status, nobody will recognise the fact that she's in the country. She's tried going with a passport for ID for certain things, and sorry, you're not supposed to be here. But these people they're doing everything in their power to help her.
And she's since been diagnosed with bipolar, is that correct?
She has. She's been diagnosed with type 1 bipolar. We suspected something was wrong for quite a long time, but the GPs, well, Kimberly's GP, was treating her for anxiety. But the psychiatrist she's been seeing said, unless you're a specialist in that field, that's quite easy thing to do, to wrongly diagnose. But she's getting there now, aren't you, babe? A little bit.
Yeah. So the first, couple of months, it was just horrific. It's the worst experience of my life. And it's definitely helping because I've got, like a health planner, a safety plan in place. New medications were introduced, like mood stabilizers, and I go to therapy a couple of times a week, and it's definitely starting to have a positive impact. Because for a long time it was just I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I thought, I've gone crazy, and this is how I'm going to be forever. So it is a relief to be getting help, but at the same time, my family are desperate to get me home because they're my support network. It's really difficult doing this alone, and the only way of contact is via phone or FaceTime, which I'm grateful for. But it's just the fact that I'm here alone. And I think, I don't see reason really why I couldn't return to the UK until my trial. I've never been into trouble, in the whole of my life. And I'm not guilty of what they're saying that I am.
Can I ask you a question? Has anybody from the legal side advised you? Would it help you at all if you named the men? Have you named the men?
No, I haven't, and I just don't intend to either. Just for the safety of myself and more so my family. That's just not something that is possible. I mean, when I was in the airport, and obviously I was questioned, I was interviewed, and then later on, the Homeland Security interviewed me, and they said to me, what happens if we put you on a plane now and send you back? And I really believe that was their intentions, because I've got the paperwork that we've showed somebody from your team, and it's in black and white that I should have been deported on that day. So that's something that affects me massively, because I always think I'm here illegally. If something happens to me, I'm not even on paper, and that's pretty scary in itself, But yeah, about naming these people, I just really don't think it's worth the repercussions.
Thanks for sharing your story for both of you.
Thank you.
And we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
And Kim. The Foreign Office, we approached them. In response to that, the Foreign Office said, we are supporting a British woman on bail in the US and we're in touch with local authorities. The Circuit Court of Cook County confirmed the charges and said the Illinois Supreme Court's Code, the judicial conduct prohibits any member of the judiciary or the staff from making a public statement about any matter pending or impending in any court. So no one in the office of the Chief Judge can speak about this or any other case. And we've also reached out to the Cook County Sheriff's Office and Homeland Security for response to your claims, but haven't received a statement. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.